Brandon.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome back to Apollo City Comics, your anything and everything podcast comic book show. I don't know what the fuck
I think you got it, but I usually say it the other way around, the everything and anything
Everything and anything.
podcast.
Oh, okay. Comic book podcast, that's what we are. That's what we do here pretty often, a few times a year. Guys.
It's like an awkward first date for us.
Yeah. It's been a while. Hey.
Yeah, it has.
Got to get through holidays, just craziness. We've been busy. We have a lot of crazy, cool stuff happening in the works for us that we can't really talk about yet, but we're going to tell you guys about very soon because it's just insane and over the top, and we're just mind blown about it still. But, man, we're back. I got COVID. I didn't know I had COVID because I had no symptoms, so that was pretty sweet. I'm super fortunate and lucky I wasn't like everybody I know who had breathing issues. I just had a small head cold. So, I mean, that just precaution.
Well, I mean, it goes to show how
that vegan lifestyle works. You know what I mean? Boom.
Oh my
go
God.
vegan. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's your PSA. This is how veganism changed my life.
PETA endorse us. Let's get some sponsorship out there.
You at PETA.
Speaking of it's not even sponsorship. We don't get paid for any of this, guys. But you know what? While you're hanging out and listening to the show and opening your book with us, why not enjoy it with a nice cup of coffee, which you can get from coffeeandacomic.com. Not only can you set up a pull list for Frank to get you all those dope variant covers that you always miss out on in your shop, but you are going to get bagged and boarded books. Who else does that? Bag and boarded books. Your comic book, your local comic book doesn't give you bag and boarded books. So why not order them from Coffee and a Comic, get coffee, get bagged and boarded books, and everything you want on your pull list. And there's a discount code in the description below.
Speaking of discount codes, with that, we also have our friends over at Lesser Known Comics who are always happy to share all the pleasant gifts with us. If you've listened to the show, you've definitely known about them for a while now. You know that their Kickstarter just wrapped up, and they have a whole new set of books coming out with a crazy massive list of new artists and writers, actually. Yeah. It went from it seemed like 5 people to 15 out of nowhere. I don't know the exact number, but it definitely grew.
A lot of full issue books, not just short page stories or any of that. Insane. So happy for these guys.
Yeah. But if you do want to check out their store, you can check out our description and get a discount. I believe it's 15%.
15%, yeah. Dude, you get discounts just by listening to the show on all sorts of comics. How awesome is that?
How are we not going to help you try to read comics?
You said it best. There you go. We just want you guys to read more comics. That's it. From all types, all varieties, from independent, from major. That's what we do. And we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff this year with that. And to kind of highlight that aspect, this is a book that we talked about doing this time last year.
For a year now, I think, actually.
Yeah, for a year now. It's insane. And I'm so hyped I've read this volume 3 or 4 times in my life. But we are doing T'Challa, stop it. We're doing Black.
Can you imagine if people didn't know you had a cat named T'Challa? Yeah, right. What that must sound like? Who's he yelling at?
He's just destroying stuff now that I'm busy. But you know what, guys? We're doing Black Science Volume 1. Actually, I have the deluxe edition, so it's Volume 1, which is called The Beginner's Guide to Entropy. I forget what the actual Volume 1 is called in standard volume 6-issue format.
I don't remember.
I don't even know if it tells us in the
No,
book.
I don't think it does. It's just numbered.
Is it? Yeah, I don't even think it says in the deluxe edition. Let's find out. While we peel open, and this book is huge. It's oversized, and I collected all 3 of them, and I think it's so worth it because the art. We have Remender, the writer, Matteo Scalera was the artist for
Matteo Scalera. I believe.
Okay,
I could be wrong though.
And then the colorist for this arc is Dean White, and Russ Wooden on lettering and logo design, and Sebastian Gierner.
Okay, so I believe the first volume is How to Fall Forever.
That's what it is. How to Fall Forever. Yeah.
I remember they do have names, but it's just very subtle to each arc.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, Matteo like poured his heart out in this book because you look at the covers and you look at the first, just the first page, man. These guys, him and Dean White, man, they just vibe together. This coloring in this book
Oh,
is
dude.
beautiful.
Have you ever, if you follow his Twitter or Instagram, the amount of like crazy things he posts in terms of like, you almost want this guy to draw everything because like I've seen him do pictures of like Batman, I believe, and like Harley Quinn and all that, and it's his art style is crazy.
Just good stuff all across.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Man, what are you doing? My cat's being insane. He was asleep. That's why we recorded, but whatever. So this book, Rick Remender, we've talked about it a lot in our show, but he is so good at just taking shitty people, which we're all kind of shitty people in a sense, and really just attaching them to a theme and rolling out with that. Like he's a great, phenomenal writer in that sense of just like
Mm-hmm.
showcasing flaws and creating drama between characters. And this is, for one, this is such an over the top. Like you open up with fish people like riding eels and people in astronaut suits. Like this is an over the top sci-fi book, but like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't almost even phase you, and it's so easy to consume and take in because how well the characters are written. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about it. Like it's not like you're trying to digest this like Dune level amount of sci-fi, like this is
I
probably
know
like,
exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about.
like it's, and I'm a Dune fan. Like not everybody is, I get it, but this is just such a simple thing to digest, and it's
Mm-hmm.
bombastic, it's fun, and yeah, I mean, I don't even know what more to say other than like Rick Remender's. That's what he does. He's like specializes in great flawed characters.
Yeah, I've always liked to describe it as, and this is just a personal take, that he likes to put shitty people in shitty
Yeah,
situations.
yeah. There you go. You always say it best, I think.
I've Yeah, I have a certain bias with this book because Rick Remender is probably one of my favorite writers,
Hmm.
and I know I've hyped him up to you so many times because the amount of books I've read by him at this point, you know.
Well, Rick Remender's a creator I've always admired, but never got enough of. You know what I mean? He's always someone that I'm craving
Mm-hmm.
to just like dive into, and I really still haven't. But it's like always, it's like that's why we kind of vibed. I think in the beginning is that, well, you shared your Rick Remender story with me, and I was like, I love that guy. I just want to read more of his stuff because I know how good he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's one of those people like he's nothing like Jeff Lemire in terms of writing style, but what reminds me of the two of them, actually, if we were to think of Rick Remender as a writer, he kind of reminds me of Chuck Palahniuk with the way Chuck Palahniuk writes.
I see
Like,
that. Yeah, yeah. You have that
maybe I'm
scumbag kind. No,
wrong.
no, no, totally. You
Yeah.
look at characters in Fight Club and Choke and
Mm-hmm.
Invisible Monsters,
Survivor.
Survivor. Those are all just. I mean, they're kind of shitty characters, and they kind of get to like really deep and dirty stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
really like.
and weird scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Chuck is brilliant. Like I'm actually subscribed to his Substack. He sends like writing stuff all the time. It's really cool.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever I could live in like a house, if that ever happens, I want a library and I want all like hardcover Chuck
Oh,
Palahniuk books.
dreams, goals, right? Yeah, total goals. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think I read Choke and Fight Club in like within 2 weeks, and I was in love. But I'm getting distracted. We're just gonna have to do a Chuck Palahniuk
Yes.
episode.
Oh my gosh.
He's written comics.
Fight Club 2 and 3. I
Yeah.
mean, there you go. We did well. Do a plug right here. Sutro Side Watch, which is part of the Sutro Side Talk channel. We did Fight Club as our very first movie episode, so you could date back to the first Side Watch episode and hear us talk about Fight Club, and it's such a phenomenal book. But
Mhm.
Black Science, you open up and you're just like thrown off. This is a 6-issue volume, and I think it just the first issue is kind of all like almost every issue I want to say has like a monologue kind of going over it. Like you have the main character just kind of talking over everything, just giving you his interior thoughts, kind of where he stands and the lessons he's learning as he's doing stuff. His kind of like, oh fuck, very logical, kind of scientific. Like he's able to process everything as it's happening, but it's kind of letting you know more of what he's like and his mistakes.
Yeah, Grant as like he's the main character for sure, and he's consistently the main character throughout the series. Um, how did I put this? This first volume is probably one of the stronger ones, as in most cases with comics. The first arc is usually the one that's the strongest
Got to get them
because they
hooked.
want to hook you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, You got to get people to stay hooked to issue 45, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
so the series definitely takes some weird twists and turns. You get like more time traveling, world traveling, superhero stuff, and but this first volume does a really good job of kind of like setting up the world. Only because I feel like it does that thing, and I say this all the time, that comics can only do, in the sense that when you're reading it, it's not that type of sci-fi fantasy where it's just like, well, this character and this world and this
Hmm.
alien species and this uh, multiverse parasite thing that travels between dimensions. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not exposition behind backstory. You kind of just take the story at face value, dialogue wise, and it's actually a really personal story about him and his family, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the artwork is what kind of does the world building for you, which again is one of those things with the, I want to say the like we always talk about the artwork and the words kind of working with each other.
Hmm.
And this is one where, like, you know, the dialogue in itself is just very like monologue heavy. It's just kind of Grant being insecure about his decisions, making mistakes, and then at the same time, again, you see the fish people riding the eels.
Yeah. There's like three layers you're kind of taking in at once. You know, the stories are giving you the world and giving you that exposition of the world, kind of explaining how things are, and like I mean, you have like these ring world. I think it, or no, disc world. Terry Pratchett's disc world. I kind of, you know, the turtles that are carrying these little islands on their back. I think like
Mm-hmm.
disc world is something like where it's a turtle and there's like a whole world on its back and whatnot.
There's the elephants on top of the turtle with the
Yeah,
world on top of the elephants.
yeah, yeah.
And apparently that turtle fights Pennywise. That's a whole different
Oh
story.
wow.
But
Okay, that's insane. Shit.
apparently it's tied into the weird
Stephen
Stephen
King
King
stuff.
shit.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's super
Um,
sick.
maybe I'm mixing characters up, but I'm pretty sure that same turtle or concept of that entity is like a enemy of Pennywise.
Wow, that's kind of interesting. I'd love to look more into that. That's something I only have the first book of that. Um, damn, that's cool. We gotta do more.
Discworld.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's like
Yeah, too bad there's like
yeah,
47
there's like
books.
an insane amount. That's like all he ever. But I mean, I love that callback because you know the layers are like what we were saying. We have the world you're seeing with your eyes, and then you have the dialogue that people are speaking and you know kind of unfolding the story, but then you also have that interior monologue of him, like of his own thoughts. Like you
Hmm.
have so many different layers you're peeling back, and again it's digestible, it's easy to follow, and it kind of they all
Yeah.
tie together very well.
So, like a perfect example of this, actually, if you go to that page with the turtle,
Hmm.
and then I think like two more pages after that, the story up to this point, they're literally just being chased and trying to be, or they're being attacked by these fish people. I forget the names if they even mentioned it.
No, I'm not
But
too sure.
you see Grant talking in like the monologue caption form where he says, "Stomach heaves, instincts override wits. I jump back." And realistically, this is just like a man that's scared and just kind of reacting instinctively and not, I guess, like logically.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the picture, it's the giant eel tackling him. So you get the sense of like, okay, in this world, at face value, these eels are like equivalent to like battle, like, or not battle horses. I was gonna say some sort of like animal used for like fighting or whatever. You know, they don't really explain it, but the artwork tells you in itself that, you know, this world is hostile.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They're being hunted.
Yeah, it's and
And that's
that's
just one example.
and it doesn't like they don't gotta explain like it's just the movements and what the characters are doing. And I mean like you don't even gotta know what these fish people are saying. It just says Tor and Rakiki. You know what I mean? Like you don't got there's so many like wubter in like on the next page. Like you just know they're bad guys. You know, you don't gotta explain like there's no world kind of set up. There's no like this is planet or this is literally just scientists going through dimensions and they're being bounced around. They don't even know what they're at. They don't know what they're doing. So like you as a reader, it doesn't really matter if you know. You don't need to know because they don't even know. And it's one of those things. He's just really just kind of shuffling his creative deck and being like, what kind of worlds can I slap together?
Yeah.
And you know, just coming up with
Uh,
them.
this book, like the first couple pages, especially the panel where like he lands in the water and there's that like frog statue thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gets more confusing where you have like fish people, amphibian deities of some sort, and killer eels and all that. up like already at this point, the book feels like it was just Rick Remender kind of riding at the edge of his seat, and he's like, "All right, what sounds really cool? All
Yeah.
right, fish people, fuck it, they're gonna start killing them. We're gonna go with it, you know."
Yeah.
And I think that's like a perfect example of sci-fi where you don't have to go into heavy exposition, you don't have to go into heavy world building. You
Mm-hmm.
just let the story write itself, and you just kind of go with it and see the world develop on its own.
This, really gives me a really big like classic Star Trek feel. You're just getting tossed from planet to planet, seeing these type of creatures and monsters, and you're kind of just
Hmm.
vibing with it. Like you don't. It's just that's the whole thing. It's not getting complicated. It's they're fish people. Like, what more do you need to know? Like, does it matter? You know what I mean? Like,
And he's literally running for his life right now.
eh,
That's the story up to this point.
yeah, that's all you got to know. Like, he's freaked out and he's trying to escape, and he's explaining to you he's got to get back to his kids or else they're gonna die in 10 minutes. You've already given us an internal timer, so now our hearts are racing and being like, he's got to go find his kid in 10 minutes as he falls off a cliff, and then he runs into like more fish people with electric tongues. And man, I think it's so cool how he rips the head off and he's holding like
Oh,
I
and he uses like a laser beam thing.
yeah, man, he's like using it as like a lightsaber, like electric uh
It's like a lightsaber whip.
Yeah, it's and I mean, again, full on action, but like you're so deep. Even in like there's a sincere moment when he walks into the room and there's the dancer, the golden fish girl, and he's like, he could tell like that's someone's daughter, that's someone's sister type of thing. Like, and he tries to save her out of everybody. Like, it even brings you, no matter how batshit crazy all this is, like he still brings some humanity to it, and he's still like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna save this girl. And guess what? It was the right move because he grabs her, he saves her. They jump into the water, and when he comes out, he kind of has like a I'm fucked again moment. But then he realizes, the dilation in the pupils, it means they're in love, and that he just brought back this dude's wife, and now they're like helping each other out. Like, how this issue moves so fast, and I want to say
Hmm.
it's a longer book because I think it's like 29 pages. This first issue,
Is it? I didn't actually count the pages.
it's a little bit longer. Yeah, yeah. It's like one of the it's a longer, and independent books you could get away with that, and make them shorter or longer. But dang, like it takes a while before he meets back with his team, and then you discover the pillar, and a brief instance of just knowing, like, okay, like, oh, his wife died too. His wife dies in the very beginning. That's how he started off. Like, he's running, he knows this is all his fault, and his wife gets shot in the face, and he has to escape and then go get his kids, and he goes through this whole thing, and he meets back up with everybody. You don't even know why they were distant. They don't know why they were apart from them, but he meets back up with his kids, and I guess whoever was running this company. And there's always a businessman involved. Always, it's one of those cool. It's one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's always a shady
Yeah,
businessman.
yeah. And you get transported again to this new world, and it's like this Civil War looking, high tech, Indian like planet, and you're just like, this looks like an insane battle. You're just put into a war zone again, and that's how issue one ends. Like whoa, that's such a.
It's so fast.
It's so fast.
It's funny. You know how I found out about that issue?
Hmm.
I was reading some random website. I forget what, because I'm just always on random like pop culture sites, and it was like Black Science #1 perfect comic book like you could ever have, and I was like, oh, word, cool. And I just kind of went to the comic shop and picked it up, and I was like, this looks really awesome, and just kind of kept reading it.
Yeah,
This is
it's.
before I even noticed Rick Remender as a writer.
Oh, okay, cool. So this was like your first. Was this your first recommender book?
No, Venom was
Oh,
actually,
okay, nice.
and I thought it wasn't that great.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, Remender didn't like. He never wanted to do mainstream comics. He never wanted to be. He didn't have a Marvel or DC story he wanted to tell. He didn't have any characters he really cared about in those universes, and he really, honestly, for career wise, he realized that like, you know, when Quesada, brought out all these other guys like Fraction and Bendis and all that stuff, like Bendis was doing Powers and Bendis had a lot of independent stuff. People forget about that. But what got Bendis's independent work famous was working for the mainstream. And that's where Remender was like, okay, like apparently in this industry, if you want to get your independent stuff noticed, you got to do something like bombastic and big for the big
Hmm.
two so you could cultivate some fan base and then be like, oh, I have all this other stuff to offer that you guys wouldn't check out because you're too consumed. You just want to read superheroes. But
Yeah,
he
to
knew
my
how that worked.
knowledge, he never wrote for
DC, I think.
DC.
I don't think I think it was just
He
Marvel.
wrote for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess right now would be the time to talk about Rick Remender as a writer.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Have you read anything from him?
I've read part of Low. I've done, of course, this volume of Black Science. I've done some other stuff. I don't recall too much off the top of my head. Again, he's like a writer that I'm always like, you have so much work that I just want to devour at that point.
Yeah. So with Rick Remender, it's kind of funny. I followed all his books without realizing he wrote them. This is like early in my comic reading years where I think most of his major stories started like 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. I think that's when this came out. I checked out Black Science. I checked out Deadly Class. I got Low. I checked out Venom. I didn't get a chance to check out Punisher or Captain America, but I was reading his independent stuff and Venom, and I was like, I really like this. And then I realized he writes all of those.
His Captain America run was a big, really cool thing. I've read part of it. In fact, there's a 1-minute review up on our page, on our Instagram and TikTok on the first few issues. But he does like some classic Kirby like bizarreness with that one. It's really cool.
Yeah, but you have John Romita Jr. drawing the damn book.
Yeah.
Anywho, did you know he's drawing Spider-Man now?
I saw that.
You know what? And I was gonna read it because of Kelly Thompson.
I know. It's Ben Reilly too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's John Romita Jr. I'm sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, I know it was very disappointing. But the thing with Rick Remender is that like so when I found out about that, then I started following everything he did. I read Seven to Eternity. I read
Seven to Eternity. I have that one.
I said Black Science twice. Tokyo Ghost. I read Tokyo Ghost.
That was one of my first ones. Yeah, because Sean Murphy's artwork is what got my attention on that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tokyo Ghost, Black Science, Deadly Class. I think personally his best independent book has been Deadly Class.
Nice.
I highly recommend that. We should cover it one day.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I've read his Uncanny X-Force.
Okay, I've heard good stuff about it.
Oh yeah, Opeña, phenomenal artist.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he drew, Seven to Eternity.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which just ended actually.
Yeah, finally. It took a while, but
yeah, all these books are finally ending. Low being his like weakest book, and
I also heard his like X-Force stuff was great because he is a real big fan of like satire and humor, and he's like, I never really got to do that because I didn't really think there'd be an audience for it. So, but like being able to do Deadpool, he was like, I finally got to do some like satire humor stuff that I've been craving.
Deadpool wasn't that meta in that series. That's the funny part. At least from what I remember, it's been a while.
Well, that's cool though. I mean, I'm not a big Deadpool fan, but if you can make him an enjoyable character for me, like in a humoristic
for
point,
me,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've read his Last Crimes of.
Oh, I've heard about that.
What is it called? I forget.
American History or something like that. Like
something like The Last Crime in American. That's supposed to be a Netflix movie or series, but it never happened.
Yeah, he wrote the script in like 2010 for that.
We also did our backlog breakout with Death or Glory.
Death or Glory, yeah, there you go.
That was a good one too. That one's short-lived. So he's done a lot of stuff, and I've read pretty much all of it, realistically. So it's no secret that I love Rick Remender's writing, and I've also met him.
Before we get to the story about you meeting him, also, like you and I, and I believe we've talked about this before, and that's why I know we're both big fans of this, but he wrote, like, the first Dead Space game.
That's right. Yeah, he was the one that like wrote the script.
Yeah,
or like storyboarding.
Yeah, and he did a lot of stuff for that, and that's one of my top games ever. I love the Dead Space franchise. Like, I'm not.
Yeah,
a big horror fan.
we bonded big over that.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
I want to stop the show now and just go play it. Like, I don't even.
I just watched the 30-minute video about it. It's like literally an hour before this.
Oh God, it's so good.
Because it was made in the Bay Area. Well, the studio.
Well, yeah, he was based in the Bay Area for a while before he went to Portland.
Rick Remender lived in San Francisco for a minute.
It's one of those situations. He's like, I remember hearing in interviews, like, me and my wife realized we couldn't live out of a garage anymore, and we moved to Portland and got a house.
Yeah,
it's a
pretty
city life.
Yeah, that's SF life for you. But no, I got to meet him at the most random event ever, and I also fucked up big time when I was there. So. Do you know Chris Hardwick?
Yeah.
He was hosting his ID10 festival, the one that basically spells idiot or whatever. Whatever the name of his podcast is. And he had this weird combo of like food and comic creators and stand up and live podcasting Q&As and even some music, I think. And it was a really cool idea because he like really went in to get comic creators in there. Because I think Chris Hardwick's pretty, he checks out as like a comic book fan, you know,
Yeah.
Talking Dead and all that shit.
Didn't he get in trouble
But
for that
Rick,
show? Didn't he do something sketchy and it got canceled?
I have no idea. I never watched it.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard some. Oh, well, somebody Google that while you listen to this.
Yeah, I have no idea about Chris Hardwick anything besides that festival. So I went and Rick Remender was there, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" And I think my comic book store owner had free tickets, and he just gave them to me.
Oh dang!
So I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna go meet Rick Remender," and I got every single book, every single omnibus, you know, Fear Agent or not Fear Agent, Strange Girl or whatever it's called. And
Estranged Girl, Estranged.
yeah, and I packed everything into that bag, and when I got to that table, no one was talking to him, and I slapped that shit on there.
Hell yeah!
And I was like, I'm one of your biggest fans. Like, and he's like, cool, man. And he signed everything for free. Took a picture with me, talked to me for like 30 minutes. That dude is chill as fuck.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, no, he was great. Like, he was super awesome and chill about everything. He signed all the books. I've got my Deadly Class signed by him. I've got my Low signed by him. My Black Science signed by him. All my Omnibus, like everything's signed by him. And they had a Fear Agent Volume 2 that I should have bought, but I didn't have the money, and now it's out of print. Anywho.
Yeah, this was kind of a baby, kind of like this is kind of like Fear Agent's baby. Like I feel like this book, like it just kind of.
Fear Agent was his first like big sci-fi thing.
And what does it say about Fear Agent? I had a cool trivia fact about that I just heard.
I think it's Dark Horse, but then it got reprinted by Image or something.
Something like that. Yeah. That's another book I would love to pick up at some point. It's hard to find.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, no, that second volume is expensive. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Punisher and Cap.
Yeah.
But anywho, long story short, Rick Remender gave me some of the best advice I've ever heard from any comic book writer. I'll finish this up so we can get back to the book. But he basically said, look, you're just going to write stuff. And he said, your first comic book you publish, it's going to suck. Like, flat out. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to want to read it. You spent all this money. But then you just keep doing it. And then you keep doing it. And then eventually someone will notice you. And he's like...
Oh, no, go on.
People are going to hate it or diss it, but you just keep going. And then eventually it'll click and then it'll happen.
Yeah. I heard him talk about like, you know, kind of books that were undervalued that, you know, people didn't get right away, but a few years later they pick up and they just like, it's like mind blowing and it's kind of revolutionary to them. And that's basically I was listening to an interview with him and he was saying like, just, write the stories you want to read, write the stories you want to make, and eventually someone's going to find it and it's going to draw people in that are attracted to that story. But you got to put that story out there first. And if you don't put it out there, they're never going to find it. So whatever you make, just do it. If that's your story, put your story out there. Somebody will resonate with it. And it's like, damn, like it doesn't, you make this not to, you make comics not to make it big. You make comics because you need to make comics and you want to tell stories. And it's all about, again, like every, kind of real storyteller knows it's about the story. It's always about the story. And that's when it all comes down to it. It comes down to that damn story and it like connecting with someone. So that's why, Black Science, I heard is going to be a TV show too. I don't know if you knew that.
Really?
Option for
oh man, I'm always scared because Deadly Class totally got canned.
Well, and yeah, I didn't get to watch too much of that either.
I didn't really watch any of it, to be honest. I mean, I probably didn't help by not watching it, but at the same time, I was like, I'm kind of scared because what if I hate it?
Yeah, it's one of those that, yeah, I feel you there. That's why I was hesitant on Daredevil. But Black Science, I think he's working a lot with Sony and Giant Generator, his company. They're like working together on the script and he's doing all that. Oh, yeah, so it could be good. Well, you know what I mean? Whenever you have the creator involved, that's why I have faith in the Sandman adaptation because Neil Gaiman's heavily involved. So, once you do that, there's some hope at least.
I mean, you could have said the same thing about Sweet Tooth, but I didn't hate that show. But
I haven't watched it yet. I'm scared.
So anyways, Black Science issue 2, guys.
You know what's cool about this is that right away, idiom, pillar to post, from place to place, especially aimlessly, from one bad situation or predicament to another. That is like the armature of this story.
Would that be a catch-22?
How so?
Isn't it catch 22 when there's not a easy decision or a right decision? It's gonna suck either
Oh
way,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, pretty
Isn't
much,
that?
yeah.
Is
In a
that could that
sense,
resonate with it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in this situation, in the book situation, it does. From oh yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I was just curious. Like,
Yeah,
just
I mean
kind of
it
hit
makes
me.
sense. Yeah, that would totally way to stump two writers on a show. Um, but dude, I mean, this issue, this is like okay, we're now in Act Two of this storyline, and you could tell because
Hmm.
Act One that was a great setup, it got your attention, and then there's a turning point. We got through the the pillar, and it took us somewhere else, and now we're in a new situation, and we're kind of dealing with what's going to happen, and we're going to kind of fill in the story to the next big moment, which eventually happens. But it's kind of funny. You find out he's like a stoner and he's been banging his assistant for a few years. And this starts in the past. And again, Rick Remender's that good of a writer where, the contrast, he doesn't have to put now, then. He doesn't have to tell you where you are in the timeline. What where you're at is because how radically different the environments are.
Hmm.
Visually, that's telling you past or future. And it's not even like in DC Comics where we see, oh, like Jim Lee decided to do like paints on this part and the coloring
Oh,
is
or
different.
sepia tone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where it's just like it's the art's totally different. It's like no, this is the worlds that they're in, the environments they're in are so radically different. These characters are telling a backstory, and then you're brought back to the present.
Yeah, I mean, you could just literally look at what's the
Color scheme,
color, not
color
color
palette.
scheme. It's basically I want to say warm or cool colors or whatever.
Oh no, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
what a better way to say that. Because you do have these blues and kind of teals and
very soft.
grays, very soft, and then you go into these bright oranges and like yellows and reds, and it's very much in your face in this background, and also the expressions. You go from literally. You go from like two people who just like banged and had crazy sex, like have smoking
Smoked
joints,
a joint.
and to people in panic and fear, like literally night and day. That's what contrast does in the story. That's how important it is. And what a beautiful, like a two-pager, just giving you that contrast all at once.
Yeah, no, and it also helps give contrast by splitting the page in half the first time it
Mm-hmm.
changes.
Yep.
You have like the like I said the blues and the soft blues like on top, and then the second half the harsh like oranges and reds.
And it's pretty awesome because the paneling is nothing like insane. I'm flipping through a couple of the pages where everyone's kind of getting into it, and you kind of find out the businessman is like a piece of shit. But what's his
The
name?
pillar was sabotaged.
Yeah,
Kadir, the
Kadir. Yeah, the pillar was sabotaged. Like you find out the importance there. You kind of discover more of these characters in this issue. You're introduced to the team essentially right now, and out of nowhere, there's this dude that's just like he's speaking French, I believe, right? Oh, it's German. It's German. Um, he comes out of nowhere and he starts attacking them, and he ends up stabbing Grant, and everyone attacks this guy because it's kind of like our new situation in this book is that Grant has been stabbed, and they've got to figure out a way to heal him because he's bleeding hard.
well, it's like a bayonet through the
Yeah,
torso.
yeah, yeah. And then you're brought back. What's crazy is that once they realize you have to go find a shaman to heal Grant, you go back and it's a flashback. But what it does is that it's 7 hours earlier, and now that's like a timestamp that lets you know that this happened 7 hours to the moment we just left. And that's like
Realistically, it hasn't been that long.
yeah, yeah, it puts a lot in perspective of what's gone on to like these guys discovering, and this whole little scene is basically them saying that this pillar that they've been working on, it's up and running, and they're gonna test it, and they're gonna do it right now, and they're all gonna do it together. Like suit up, we're gonna find out if it works, and that brings you into the back to the now, which doesn't need to say now because again you know that you're back into the present because of the color scheme and the environment, but
The outfits.
yeah, the outfits and everything. Yeah, the art is telling you where you are in time, and they kind of have to go hunt down this shaman. and they realize that it's an insane mission because they're going through this like enemy territory, this literal war zone, and they see this group of like high-tech Indians who are still like scalping people, who are still burning people alive, and they have this insane, I feel like a Tomahawk Donny Cates story was inspired by some of this stuff, because just like the viro sword and or viro axe and all that type of stuff, I have that Tomahawk feel for it.
I've never read a Tomahawk.
It's cool stuff. It's cool. It's actually the artist. Ian is a tattoo artist in Austin, Texas, and he had never done comics before. And so Donnie sidetrack. But Nick Darrington was living in Austin at that point, and he had to teach Ian had to like scan pages to get them sent out to like Heavy Metal to get published, and was teaching them different like artistic ways. So Nick Darrington helped him out. And I had a really cool conversation with Donnie and Nick at one point, like just at a comic convention, and we talked for like half an hour about that stuff. It's cool stuff.
And that sounds awesome. That whole community is just always like tied in with each other.
I know.
Like, everybody knows everybody.
I love it. It's so dope. But that's issue 2. Again, fast paced, a little dense. I want to say it's a little bit longer than 24 pages. I could be wrong, but you get so much out of it.
It gives me. I hate to make this comparison because I don't want to compare it, because yes, I like Black Science more, but it's the... Okay, so basically it kind of reminds me of like Walking Dead, in the sense that Walking Dead is like, okay, zombie apocalypse, but there's like all this like depth to the characters, and there's much more to the people.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody spends a lot of the issues arguing and kind of discussing what's going on, when realistically they're just trying to survive. Black Science is the same thing. By the time you get to the 3rd issue, there's only 2 things that basically happened. One, they went through the what's it called, the Eververse.
Yeah, the Eververse.
And then the pillar was sabotaged, and they were using it to find technology to advance humanity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But like, now they're just trying to survive, and that's it.
Yeah,
but most of the issue is
Grant gets stabbed. They have to find a healer. Like,
and Grant
simple.
just like monologuing and messing up as a dad and messing up as a scientist, and just kind of everybody going back and forth. And it brings a lot of humanity to the characters because it takes the time to develop them. The world is kind of there, but the story is the characters and Grant.
Yes, exactly. And I think the world, it's not nearly as boring as, and I've read all The Walking Dead. Like I've sat through it all, but
I
like
think it's got a bad rep just because of the show.
Yeah, it does. It's a good comic for sure. Like, it's worth checking out if you can, and just blast through it. Don't pace it. Just blast through it. Get it over with.
Yeah, there's not a lot of death going on there. Nothing against Robert Kirkman.
There's some issues that you're just dealing with dialogue and monologue for a while, and some people dig that for sure. But like, this does that, but also like is pushing so hard on just like explosions, and not even like the type of comic book where we've kind of commented where like someone's getting punched in the face and there's a fight and there's a paragraph of like speech as they're like throwing each punch. Like this is just like action and like heart racing moments, but the dialogue keeps you captivated. It's not overloading. It's not like too little. It's like just such a good balance between defining these characters. And you're not just looking at talking heads the whole time either.
Yeah, no, the dialogue, it's kind of like, the dialogue is definitely like, what's the word I want to use? It's not uplifted, but it's more of like exemplified through the art.
Yeah.
It's doing what comics do best, and it's the artwork. Again, I'll say it, the artwork and words working together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's cool stuff. Like looking at through issue 3, we start off in 3 hours. I think it was, well, you find that out, but you start off in a flashback, and then you find out you're 3 hours later. So now we've shifted time. Before it was 7 hours on a flashback, and now we've moved up a little bit. And this was 3 hours later from this flashback that we're coming out of in issue 3. And you're finding out like these guys are scalping dudes. They find the medicine man, and they see him heal somebody, stuff like, nobody could recover from, but that guy heals them. But look at the dialogue going on, but also look at how much is happening in the background right there. Like you're watching these mechanical horses being ridden and these crazy like Gundam like you know, Indian like armor and whatnot, like their eagles and like their birds and whatnot. It's super cool. So you're not bored. And there's a lot of monologue going on through here. And I want to say this is home slice. What's his name? The
Which
bodyguard.
one?
The bodyguard that's like,
Oh, the one that's in like just this issue.
yeah, literally just this issue. I totally spaced his name.
Oh, well, he doesn't live long. Spoilers, but
Yeah, yeah. He really doesn't. I'll find it right now. But the story kind of pushes you forward no matter what. And when you're bouncing back and forth, there's tension everywhere. There's tension in the group that went out because Kadir's with that group, and then there's tension with the group that stayed because they have the German guy tied up, and they're trying to figure out like what to do with him. They have a hostage at this point, and they're trying not to get caught either. So there's a lot of, and there also you always have a ticking clock in the background. And what a way to make a story exciting. A ticking clock is literally a countdown to like something needs to happen before the clock hits zero. And they use that in movies, they use that in TV shows. The bomb's gonna go off. Like, Batman comics
what's
use it
gonna
all the
happen?
time. Yeah, is Batman gonna save it before the bombs go off? Like, stuff like that. Like this entire like arc is literally just a ticking bomb. They have to do stuff before the pillar goes off because the pillar goes off in random intervals. And damn, look at this! Look at this art when they're battling that like Gundam suit.
Yeah, I don't even know what you would call
Lord.
that, like a mech or.
Yeah, like a mech of some sort. I wish I knew what tribe he was like pulling from on this. I don't know if it was just like
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
I was gonna say what's interesting is that like this, by the time you get to issue 3, you get a lot of like this world building through the artwork, but you kind of never get an explanation, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of just like I wish there was like an encyclopedia or something or some sort of like
Companion to this.
companion and just to explain the world. Like
Yeah,
did they go
yeah.
to like an alternative like Earth or what happened?
Or also like if Rick. I don't know if maybe there's interviews about it. Maybe there is something about it. But like, did he have detailed information about these books, I mean these worlds, and or maybe he was just coming up with it on the fly with the artists, like they just had a concept and they're just going to execute the concept. Like maybe there wasn't even a bible in that sense.
And that's what it felt like to me, at least, was that he
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of just like creating shit just for the sake of creating shit. And I think that's awesome that he just kind of went with it and committed.
Yeah, and again, simple story formula. So their whole mission in this book is to go get the shaman, and then the other side mission is to not get caught, and wait for them to bring back the shaman. And the complications behind the two is one, obtaining the shaman and having to get through all that tribe. And then the situation with the other ones is not getting caught. However, they do have to fight the tribe and they do almost get caught. And in almost getting caught, the assistant, she ends up killing the guy. She ends up, smashing his head into the mud until he
Drowning
can't,
him.
drowning him. Yeah. And then it does a flashback where it shows kind of like where the story technically starts is, oh, you know what? It even shows where they got uh, black science from. I didn't even notice this.
The sign
And
right there.
yeah, the sign. Yeah, instead of block science or whatever. I don't even. Yeah, block
Yeah, with like
science.
the
They put
anarchy
in there.
A.
Yeah, how cool. Rick Remender's so punk rock too, and that's why I love him.
He
DC
is, isn't
Marvel.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%,
Right.
100%. And it just shows like the pillars going off. It's not supposed to be going off, but it does, and that's the end of issue 3. So like, again, layers of story. You have two groups, two conflicts, and then you also have the flashback is showing you back history and showing you the conflict that's happening, which is putting them into this position. So what a way to fill up the pages there, you know?
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that like somehow he's able to like add like one story beat per issue,
Mm-hmm.
but he stretches it out in a way where it doesn't feel like it's being like dragged out.
He's really good at that ABC storytelling within an issue, where you have 3 plots going on, and the A storyline is, for that issue at least, is the obtaining the shaman. The B storyline is the ones staying and watching the pillar, and the C storyline, which is the smallest part, is the flashbacks.
Hmm. Well, backstory usually is used to basically help with the main plot line, whether it be
Yeah,
give you information that you need or any sort of like motive for the character making a decision or committing to a decision and stuff like that.
yeah. And this one is showing us like how we got placed into this whole mess because literally you're just like, how the hell could they have wound up here?
Gotten
You
there.
know? Yeah, yeah. Issue 4, dude. Man, what a cool book. So they're escaping. The group that has the shaman. They are currently escaping the tribe, and it is not going well. It is just the craziest wild chase, and everything is like 2-page spreads. The paneling is just so on point, where it's just telling you everything you need to know, and the big moments feel big. The explosions and everything. That's just one of my favorite parts.
Well, I think to kind of back that up, if you notice the paneling in this book, it's not really complex.
No, no, it's
No,
very
it's
simple paneling, to be honest.
yeah.
Like,
And the thing is, that's probably done on purpose, but with the way the panels are set up, where you get these giant big squares, big rectangles, it kind of
mhm.
like lets you have those big moments because it gives you the space that's required to draw that.
It feels like
Like,
cinematic because you're in that widescreen format at that point. Like
hmm
you're so pulled back.
like if you look at the chase where the car flips over and they cut the dude's head off,
Oh yeah, when they cut
every
this dude's head
panel,
off, it's one of my favorites.
every panel in there is massive. There's not a lot of panel density.
No,
Like,
this whole thing is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels over 2 pages.
look how massive they are.
Yeah,
So I
all
think
rectangular too. Yeah,
that's what helps the artwork tell so much is that it has the space to tell it.
man, this guy pulled barbed wire and it ripped this dude's head off.
Pull a gladiator move. Remember that film,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah. But man, and this whole thing is just kind of the guy. Um, man, I feel so bad. I was looking out for his name and I just totally missed it. But oh, Sean. Oh wait, never mind. What is this guy's name? Kadar. What's her face asked for him? She's like, where is he? Where's Ward? Ward is his name. Ward, this guy. Yeah, the protector behind everything. Man,
The
what a
soldier.
yeah the Buzz Lightyear looking dude. Honestly, he this is such a this whole issue is really like, I mean, I don't know. They just wanted to highlight, okay, if we look at the story, they're escaping. And literally this whole entire issue is about Ward's devotion to the team, devotion to the mission, and to Grant. So much so that he was willing to sacrifice himself to save the team and get them out of there. Meanwhile, Kadar, just being the shady, cowardly businessman, leaves him to die instead of tossing him the hatchet. If he would have tossed him the hatchet, he would have had a chance. But instead, he runs for his life, and there's 20 seconds left on the timer. Again, ticking bomb. He gets to it just in time, and he makes an excuse. He told me to run. He told me to run. And dude, that's issue 4. Like, boom. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. The way the deluxe edition is, there's like it looks like an end page. It has like the
Oh,
spot.
I see.
Yeah. But then we're tossed into a new world, a new situation. We just came out from this pulse pounding, German versus Native American, futuristic, cybernetic Native Americans.
Yeah, they never imply if it's like on Earth or something.
No, they don't. They just know it's. I mean, they're German. I don't even know. Like maybe it's. I mean, again, dimension hopping. Where you could just shuffle the deck and do whatever the fuck you want at that point.
It could be anywhere.
And they're brought back, and it seems like a modern place. It looks like they're like in a room. Homegirl got to like shower, and she's half naked.
Well, I mean,
again.
there's things flying through the air.
Yeah, there's like sci-fi stuff going. There's like more like kind of Star Warsy looking fish creatures that look like they have a civilization, kind of not like savage and fantastical like we did in the first issue. And it looks like everyone's kind of just like, okay, we came out, let's get some food, let's like regroup, let's rest. And everyone's kind of reflecting on just like how this is insane, like this wasn't supposed to happen this way. Like just a few hours ago we were home, and then you're introduced to this new character that, like, man, this looks like some bounty hunter type of dude hunting people down, and he has that spiral, that logo. He has like a whole chest full of them, and so you're just like, okay, this guy's gonna start trouble, and that's issue 4. So that
Why
one's
does
like,
he have the only thing is like, why does he have a gas mask? Like,
yeah, I mean his whole,
it just looks cool, I guess.
yeah, that's find a way to disguise him for who he really is, and I think that's interesting. But it looks like, okay, we've seen that symbol before, and if you've been paying attention, that's the symbol they have on their arms. It's their patch.
Represents the onion they talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
How the Eververse is like an onion, and the center of that onion is not God, but a being that would typically be associated to a god.
How cool. How freaking awesome.
Dude, it's the first time onions are cool since Shrek.
Shrek wasn't ever cool, so it's the first time onions are cool.
You never liked Shrek?
No, I didn't like Shrek. I fell asleep with that ride at Universal. You know they're closing that ride now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the video.
Done. Yeah.
You don't like the movie?
No.
What's wrong with you?
I'm not a Shrek fan. Maybe I could rewatch it one day and appreciate it. But as a kid, I was just like, I don't.
But onions, ogres. Anyways, Shrek made onions cool first, and then Black Science did.
Yeah, way to steal that, Rick Remender.
The people at DreamWorks are gonna be so angry.
Man, and this issue is just kind of like Grant is just trying to get back the faith of the team and just kind of put on this false positive face and try to get everyone moving. But that character that we were introduced to, that's where he shows up, and that's where we start seeing like that, was it the Doctor Who thing, the sonic screwdriver, but it's like a pillar, but it's a sonic screwdriver. And man, that's where we find out this is a alternate version of Grant. And
wait, where's this screwdriver you're talking about?
The one he gets knocked out of his hand that flies through the window.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. I was like, wait, sonic screw.
It reminds me of Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. Yeah.
Actually, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
And you find out this is another version of Grant, and that's the whole thing, is just kind of like uncovering who this person is and his motives, which are very brief that are brought up, but you get a lot of answers from this issue. You go on this wild chase again. Every issue kind of has a chase going on. I think that's why it adds that heart racing kind of vibe to it.
Or like a sprint to the end line.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they have to kill like 4 hours here, 20 hours here or something. But they're racing through because this guy stole Grant's kids, and they introduce you to this guy's wife, who is technically, Grant's wife, but like a multi-dimensional version of her, like an alternate version of her. And they're both happy to see the kids, but even the kids are like, "You're not my mom." Like, they
don't want to go near her, or the brother does.
Dead. Yeah, exactly. And then Grant comes charging in, trying to save his kids, of course. And even this Grant is even like, I've seen so many versions of you, and every version of you, like, the kids die. You guys will all be dead in a couple hours. It's inevitable. And they get transported somewhere else. Again, you're bounced out of that world once more. But it's revealed that Kadar is always the one who sabotages the pillar. He's always the one who has an evil motive. He's always the one that is like the cause for all of this. So as soon as like the pillar goes off and they get a moment with Kadar, they just go, Grant goes fucking crazy on him, and he tackles him in, and we're in a new world again, another new planet, but this one's like
punches him to another dimension.
Yeah, this is the Planet of the Apes planet. This is a version of that. You have like the statues and the white apes and all that. And dude, we're at issue 6 now. Is the final issue of this like arc, so we're in Act 3,
which is crazy because the whole series has just been running the whole time.
Yeah, you're literally just on the run. Like, you can't help but like kind of just pace with it. Like, this episode's gonna be so quick, we're gonna be so out of breath by the end of it. But this whole issue is really just
sorry,
like,
he's just sitting there reading the comic, breathing heavy. I've never met anybody who's been that invested. Please let me see.
Sweating, just like, did you do cardio? No, man. Have you read Black Science? Like,
Yo, bro, I don't know if you know what anxiety is, but black science,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
It gets your heart
I just
racing,
got,
man. You gotta
I just gotta
survive.
see how that works. Like, you just start sweating from the pits when you're reading a comic. You see it pooling
Yeah. Pits, ass, and feet. That's how it works. You know what I mean?
in that order. It works its way down.
But this one again, dude, we're just on another chase because he knocked Kadar down and they're in this pool, and you find out that this pool is like watching a nursery of these apes, and Grant cut open some plant and it kind of distracts him. So we have two things again going on here. You have Grant and Kadar, you know, on that chase. And then up top, you have drama. Kind of always on top. There's always a conflict between the team. And right now, it's that the daughter wants to go save her dad because she's like, I'm sick of this. And then the assistant's like, no, you know, two people have died. And she's like, nobody cares. You're just screwing my dad. You're a home wrecker. Like, you broke my family apart. And then the other guy's, you know, just trying to be like, hey, like, calm down. We got to fix this. We'll all do it together. And again, the daughter's like, no, you're just trying to you're just an intern. You're just a few years older than me, trying to get your career started, but you don't realize like this is all fucked. But then the little kid is like, pulls out a gun and is like, nah, nobody's going anywhere. And then you cut back to the chase.
Yeah, doesn't she explain that like she's not that much older than her?
Yeah. Seriously, they're all pretty young in that point.
Oh yeah, she says right there, you're like 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pretty fucked up situation.
And Kadar and Grant, like on their chase, they come across this version of Grant, the ape version of Grant, with a new pillar, and that pillar gets destroyed.
He's got a robo hand, or he's got robo hands.
Dude, it's so cool. It reminds me of like Why the Last Man meets like Starman, or not Starman. There was another book
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that Brian K. Vaughan book, Ex Machina. That one. That's the one that it reminds me of.
No, you know what else he reminds me of is what's that guy's name? Dr. Star. Like, dude, check this out. I don't know if this is intended, but this is the vibe I get from this character.
Let's check it out. Dr. Star. Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, that has a giant Starman influence on that too. But yeah,
Yeah, but it's the trench coat looking thing and the goggles.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. And the hands kind of too. The glowing hands. Good stuff. I'm going to do Black Hammer one day. And, dude, so they end up all fighting, and they both realize that they're both Grants, and they try to kind of work together. But then Kadar, of course, is an asshole and kills them again. And during all that, a whole machine collapses on the Grant that we've been following, and his spine is smashed, and he knows this is it. He's just like, there's no getting out of here. Like, tell my kids, like, I love them. And he's like, I love this. I know exactly what kind of monster you are. The kind that prizes self-preservation. So I know you'll get them home. Every shitty thing you ever did, you found some crazy, crafty rationalization. But you don't get to rationalize this. You cause this. You get my kids home. For once in your life, do the right thing.
He's playing into his ego, basically, to get him to like keep his kids safe, because he wants to be able to gloat about saving that guy's kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna give you this, like, you know, but do it, like, and it's the right card to play. But Grant also realizes he lived a lonely life. He doesn't have a picture of his family like on him. He like never thought about this moment where he was screwed. Just emptiness. But also, I mean, is it the daughter? Yeah, the daughter gets infected by one of those things.
I don't think that's the daughter. That's not one of his kids.
And
she's like
who's the blonde girl?
Assistant lady person.
Oh, that's right. That's who she is. Yeah, she's kind of like
she's like
real
his
brief
assistant
throughout the book. You know, she has a few lines, and you see her in a few scenes. We really haven't talked about her. Yeah. This is assistant. But
I think I could be wrong, but from what it seems like, they work together.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're kind of in cohorts together to like kind of get some of this stuff done. They have the same motive and all that type of stuff. But, dude, Grant dies, and then the team has to take off. the Indian guy kind of helps him escape. They find out that Grant's dead and he's not coming, and that's the end of volume 1, which is like nothing in the big scheme of this universe, because I want to say there's like 45 issues of this.
I think it's 43. It literally just ended in 2020. So.
Oh, really?
Let's see real quick. 43 issues, yeah.
Oh, wow. I have all 3 deluxe editions. I'm really fortunate.
That trade came out in 2020, so I think it ended like the beginning of 2020. That book lasted for 6 years.
How cool. What a dream. You know what I mean? Like, what a dream to like.
What a way to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Oh,
there's like zero story, but at the same time, there's all the story.
It's so well put together. I'm gonna continue, reading this. I'm gonna continue going through all 3 volumes. That's gonna be my goal this year, is to read all of Black Science. If I could read, 50 issues of Spawn at a time, this should be cake.
How far are you in Spawn?
I'm only on like issue 163. I'd stopped for a bit.
Only. But yeah, no. With Black Science, like I really do mean it when I say like this is a great series. I think Deadly Class is better. Maybe that's a biased opinion, but I will say this first volume is a pretty strong volume at being something that's just like a chase, like a chase scene for the entirety of it, and it just goes to show how much character development can happen with such little, like, I guess, story in terms of the actual words. I mean, yeah, there's dialogue and there's exposition, there's monologuing and all that, but like, it doesn't do that sci-fi thing. It doesn't tell you everything. It literally shows you. Another perfect example of showing in comic books.
Oh my gosh, yeah, total show and don't tell. Total.
You learn so much about this worlds, I guess, or multiverses, whatever you want to call it, just because the artwork just breathes. It just has all that paneling space, and it creates this world, and it doesn't force much down your throat. It just lets you take it in at your own pace, and you learn from it.
I'm showing off some of the inks right now for like the covers and everything, and it's just, you see the inking, and then you go back and you view the cover and the coloring itself, and you realize how awesome it is. And man, this even has scripts in it too. I'm gonna read the script after this, but this is just, again, a very awesome way to do a sci-fi book.
Oh yeah,
like it's hard to get much better than this because of how simple it is, how quickly you can absorb it. It's honestly, okay, it's crazy. So I always talk about this a lot, and I feel like I say this for so many damn books, but I guess it's because I read so much. But when I was getting back into comic books, back in my day, yeah, I was in a creative writing class, and in this class, I thought of this whole concept called the broadcast dialogues, and something that I really want to bring to life at some point. And it was very much a space like opera, type of dimensional type of thing, and multiverse aspect of like kind of that onion concept and everything. I had like little, fragments of these ideas that I was putting together as my first comic, and I was super hyped. And then I was in this creative writing class, and I bought Black Science to check it out. And I read Black Science, and I was like, that is like so much of what I'm trying to do and accomplish with a sci-fi book. And it was so inspirational for me. And it was cool, kind of like, sometimes you get upset when you have an idea and you're just like, oh, like this book I love is so close to my idea. But, in a big scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not your story. So like, concepts might be similar, but like, it's your story that matters. And this is one of those books that kind of taught me that, like, okay, if I have a similar idea, but my story is completely different, like, still write the story. Like, it's one of those moments as a writer, you got to accept that your voice is unique and your voice is different, and you're never going to tell the same story. And that was like, reading this book was an eye-opening thing for me, because I was like, okay, I mean, that shows me how far I can go with some of these concepts, and how far it's similar, but also radically different in every way. So like, with people that are trying to create and do stuff, like if you find something that later on is like, oh, damn, that movie or that show, like I had that idea, still make that idea. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
still unique. Still do it, because you know what? There's a whole multiverse that hasn't been explained yet, as we've said over and over throughout this volume. Explain that multiverse, then, like, bring that to life and do it. And this was just one of those cool books that I read that maybe that's why I've never moved past volume 1, because I was like, this was just so influential indirectly to me in a way.
To back that up, you know, I feel like mine isn't as deep and philosophical as yours. You're like, it influenced me to just say, fuck it, go with my idea. And it doesn't matter as long as it's your story. That's all that matters. And I'm just like, Black Science is just the perfect example of just writing dope shit. Like, just,
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
dude,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I can't follow up with yours. Yours, I mean, I get it, dude. Like, it makes total sense. Like, you come up with this thing and then you're like, oh shit, this has been done already.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, you know what? But I'm just going to do my version.
And that's all anybody is ever doing. When you look at
Yeah.
music, when you look at art.
And that's kind of like what Rick Remender is doing here too. Like, there's plenty of sci-fi stories that follow the same character archetypes. You have the soldier, you have the tech guy, you have the businessman, whatever. But he still runs with it.
Yeah.
And I think, I think it's respectable to just say, I'm gonna make a story about giant fish people or giant, like, whatever, eels attacking people, and like chimpanzee versions of these characters and onion metaphors, but he commits to it, and he just it feels like edge of the seat writing, where he's like, yeah, this sounds cool, fuck it, just put it in, and that's awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing to do. And I think Matteo Scalera is an artist that's capable of handling that degree of imagination. I mean, it goes to show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like, man, and it's one of those things, like, comics matter so much, and so much in the writing and so much of the art, and sometimes one is better than the other, and that's what keeps you in the book. Like, I've read books that I'm just like, I don't even care for the writing, it's the art that keeps me and like hooked, and I just want to keep on seeing what
Mm-hmm.
this artist does. Or vice versa, like, I'm not a crazy fan of the art, but like the story's really damn good and I'm really hooked. But this book, you're just like, I feel like I gotta read it 3 times to like
Mm-hmm.
process all of it, because it's just all so damn good.
This would be my third time reading it, and my second and third time reading it since it came out.
I think this is my 3rd time reading it myself. I think I read it when I first, years ago, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I think I read it like a year ago when we said we would read this book and do this episode.
Well, it was
And
going to be part of our dystopian future theme.
yep, that's how we were starting 2021, and that shit hit hard at home.
But you know what? We read it now.
Yeah.
And
Maybe we'll do more. I don't know. Like, we'll find out. Maybe we'll do Black Science throughout the year or something, and it'll be one of
yeah,
those
dude, we
volumes.
have an endless catalog of choices.
So much crap. But
I'm going to buy and read every comic book ever.
it's kind of our goal. At a certain point.
Oh, man. You want to read that Batman Odyssey, right? And
Okay,
Spider-Man,
alright.
Not Another Day, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you're drawing some lines here. We'll talk about, I actually did a Batman Odyssey 1 minute review. And actually, guys, if you're still listening to this right now, well, I did a bunch of. I'm going through my comic book collection. I'm reading a lot of stuff that I haven't touched or really gone through, and I'm doing 1 minute reviews on all of them. A lot of books I'm selling to kind of clear out my collection. So keep an eye out on our TikTok and Instagram where I post them up. Instagram, I get to put on bitchin' music on it, so it's pretty kind of cool.
The America theme.
Yeah,
you put
oh my Captain America. Yeah, that one, the Rick Remender Captain America series is up right now.
I saw that. I was like, I didn't even realize that. That's perfect.
But yeah, that's, I did talk about Batman Odyssey because I had some of that series. And some
You
of the-
said it. We got to read every comic out there. We're gonna read every
Everyone.
Rob Liefeld book there is. Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, John Romita Jr. all happening. Oh, God.
I could handle some Jim Lee at least.
What did I get myself into? Anywho, as always, we're getting distracted.
But
yeah, no, I think Black Science is worth reading.
yeah, no, it is. It's fun. It's fun stuff. I can't wait to dive into it more. And the logo, the onion thing, looks like that bass. It was a bass company. They made like bass heads and amps and whatnot. But Sun amplifiers. Dan Briggs from Between the Buried and Me used that Sun app for a long time. That's the only reason why I know about it, because it's BT Bam. But that's the
you're the first person to talk about that band. I've never met anybody that like listens to Between the Buried and Me.
Favorite band in the world, dude. Dude, Between the Buried and Me is fucking the best band ever. Yeah, that's what to remind me of. But dude, we have a lot of cool stuff coming your way. Punisher commentary with Thomas Jane. The Punisher with Thomas Jane. We did a movie commentary that'll be out. That'd be cool. We got
Thomas Jane did the commentary with us.
Yeah,
I don't remember him being there.
And you get to hear that awesome song. What is it? God, I can't remember it.
Oh, you're talking about like the credits song?
Yes.
Oh shit! What was that?
I gotta Disturbed, or no, it wasn't Disturbed. I'm looking
it up right now. Oh yeah, no, it's not Disturbed. It's Drowning Pool when they got the new singer. I couldn't find it, but I remember it because he's like, "Step up."
Yeah, still gonna get back down. Dude, I bought that CD as a kid at the headstand, where I would get like whatever 3 for 15 or 3 for 12 CDs
for that one song.
For that one
so
song,
badass.
And I only liked that one song.
Probably like, I love metal.
I was just talking about Between the Buried and Me. I could talk shit about that. All right, at least I have some redeeming qualities. But you know, guys, we have some cool stuff coming up for you, and you know, thank you all for sticking through.
Our pause, our recess, whatever you want to call it.
We had to take a little break, and hopefully, you guys are going to enjoy all the new content. And we have some cool stuff coming, you know, that's in the brew with some great guests that we're going to have on. Our friend Ryan from Across the Bifrost, we're doing Silver Surfer Black. That'll be coming out soon. And we're doing some crossover episodes with him on some Thor comics, and a lot of good stuff. So, and
yeah, always check out our friends.
Yes. Yeah, go check out Coffee and a Comic. Go check out Lesser Known Comics. Go check out Sutra Side Talk. Go hit up I want to say D3, Third Planet from Black Sun.
Black Hole.
Sorry. Black Hole Sun. And yeah, I mean, all of our friends, go check out our Instagram. We support a lot of good people out there, and you know, spread some word. Collect them all on Die Trying. That guy's doing some cool stuff. He has really fun unboxings. Go watch him. And yeah, guys, Brandon, thanks for hanging.
Thanks for having me.